So it looks like I have to cut it for the first time, the Recortalk, because the storage of my iPhone broke down, so it was over and it shut down the video recording process. So now I carry on after deleting a few things. Yeah, let's go. What I wanted to say is Herbie Hancock, he just took over my whole life in 2016, and I have my book with me. You know, every year got a book and you kind of see what was going on the outside, which music I did listen to, and yeah, it was Herbie Hancock. So I started off with Herbie Hancock in mid of the year. I have every detail in here. Yeah, I was going through a few things before. It's kind of interesting to see actually how I took my way through his stuff. So I was coming from, there was, let's see, like this, like Ornette Coleman before, like this was directly before Ornette Coleman, something else, and 2 weeks before it was Chic with the Chic first album, and yeah, and 3 weeks before Pedo Mera, like we had it the last time, and the Atomic Mr. Basie, Count Basie. So if I dig even farther, it was Charlie Parker in May, Dexter Gordon before that. Yeah, a lot of jazz. It was a year of jazz, and in the end there was like a little Kate Bush and Falco stuff. Like as you can see, I always accompany everything with the art, and here like Hounds of Love, it was a big record in the end of the year for me that really showed me a new interest for popular music, and I was really going crazy for Kate Bush in the end. So, but now I'm gonna go into Herbie Hancock. So we have Pride Week, no, month. Now it's July, the 1st of July, and Pride should be something that's not just only bound to a certain month, because it should be a general mindset for everybody, and understanding that it's something we should be aware about, that there is more than just a classical concept that's outdated and that's forced by anyone and anybody in how to live, how to laugh, whatever, in the physical form of it, like to expression of the physical workout and what your body, this kind of thing, or what gender identity is, and what like people, most of them that don't understand the pride and why it is, or whatever, the haters, they don't even know what they are on their own, you know, or they suppress their own needs, that they suppress what they actually feel or are from the inside out, and that's why they insist on some things that are really going against reality of life, in my opinion. So let's carry on with Herbie. So Herbie, Taking Off is the first album, and I want to take off by just telling you a few things. So it's classical Herbie Hancock, classic Herbie Hancock. I mean, when I say this term, I mean the stuff he did for Blue Note, because he went to Warner Brothers, and over there he ended up at Warner Brothers, and over there he did a lot of electric stuff, which I'm not talking about right now. I'm really in love with his things from the Blue Note era, and so let's start it. Yeah, a few words to every record. So I got attracted. To Herbie by watching a YouTube video where he did like 1 hour of talking about not playing anything, but he was talking, he was lecturing something, like, don't remember the exact content, but it was something about progress in humanity, and it's something about life knowledge, something about reality, being yourself, finding your own identity, really spiritual in some way. Herbie Hancock lecture, so maybe I'll search it and put it in the description if it's still in the YouTube. So Takin Off is Blue Note 84109, and yeah, I had listened to the Rudy Van Gelder Remaster series, and I bought this box back then with like all of them inside, and I was really disappointed. The quality was so bad. Not the music. The music was okay, really good. I'm talking about the boxing. It was really extremely cheaply done. It was really no liner notes, no nothing. You know, only this most minimal thing that you can have, and the price was really high for that. And so I do not give any recommendation to buy the Blue Note box. Buy them individual and you have everything, or even better, buy either the Japanese reissues of the early 90s or buy the normal Rudy Van Gelder reissues that you can buy right now for 5 or 6 euros if you really wanna have all of them in your hand. And if not, then save your money. Okay, Takin Off was the first album, and it was from the sound here a little bit like he had, for example, Billy Higgins and Butch Warren, which I knew already from Dexter Gordon's Go, so it was to me kind of familiar because I had this in my head, but it's not sounding like the rest of the Herbie stuff that comes after. It is really a different band, so it's kind of an extended Dexter Gordon record in some way, and it's how I felt it back then. I was not that experienced with jazz as I'm now, and Herbie Hancock did a really big role, fill out a space in me back then that made me understand jazz better. Because I had it like for many, like from, if I can look at this now, from just him, like from July to October, November, like end of October, only him. And I just say it's a good first record. I like it. But it's not the one I would not want to live without. So, say it like this. There are really Watermelon Man, for example, is a standard that's really important to me, and I think for all. It's an easy song to play, especially on the saxophone. It's a relaxed thing. And he redid it in an electric form, so it's also kind of interesting to see and to kind of compare the two versions, that the other one he did like 10 or 15 years later in a completely different context, and is also a little bit more known generally, but for the jazz guys, most of them know the old version, like the first one. Yeah, I was really disappointed. You see here, no liner notes, so I was really disappointed. I was buying this and opening in the big expectation of having all those info, but no. So what did I write? Like Billy Higgins, really characteristical. Yeah, I don't go in that much in detail. So the next one, my point of view, what I want to note for that really cool band. Like there is Tony Williams on there, and this is one of the first, if not the first, Tony Williams record. The Tony Williams from the Miles Davis Quintet from the second one. Hank Mobley, which I knew from Soul Station. He also played without Blakey and Jasmine. Oh, lovely. Grant Green is on there, and King Cobra is the tune that I would really tell you to listen to. And yeah, that's the first one. Also, that had a trombone like Graham Manker. I like this connection. I like this band in some way, but it was really short-lived. And after those two first Blue Notes, he went to do a really, he went outside the normal band context and did a trio record. It's called Inventions and Dimensions. Herbie Hancock and Paul Chambers. Again, Paul Chambers. Paul Chambers was the first Miles Davis Quintet bass player. So he did play along John Coltrane. He did Philly Joe Jones was playing drums, and PC, Mr. PC, you know the standard maybe, Mr. PC. Yeah, and Coltrane, of course. We have Herbie Hancock playing here with Paul Chambers and percussionists like Willie Bobo and Osvaldo Chihuahua Martinez. And it was a really, really progressive, free-formed little thing. It was really big to me back then, because it was my first thing that went into the free area. I stayed away a long time from free things, and because I said Ornette Coleman before, yeah, it was something else. It was, the first 3 records of him, or even back then I just had the first 2 records, and they are different. So especially something else, it's for listening with the ears of 2020. It's not even free thing or whatever. Like, it's kind of progressed classical jazz, swing, like swinging poppy, hard pop or whatever, like, with a little bit more free approach. But it's nothing like the later stuff. So yeah, Inventions and Dimension has a great album cover. He's standing on the streets there, like really cool. And I don't know where it is. I think it's in New York or wherever. So streets in New York are cool for sure. So it's a record that you have to get a little bit into. Yeah. Let's see if I did anything note specifically. Yeah, well, I did right. He didn't give Herbie. That's the first album where Herbie didn't give a shit about anything anymore, like in a positive way. Like, he didn't play what he wanted, no rules, no rather. He lifted up his mind to whatever he wanted to do. And it's also a acoustic trio record. What's not that, there was not a trio in an acoustic way after that. At least I'm not aware about any recording from that time period where he did it. So next one would be Herbie Hancock, Empyrean Isles. They're gonna put away the light again, I have to adjust this here. It's really look like too dark. But the dark is really better than the light white supremacy. I would love to have equality. So it's good to have now equal equal video of light and dark lighting. Yeah, Empyrean Isles, really beautiful, really cool, up-tempo. Tony Williams, Ron Carter, of course Herbie Hancock, Freddie Hubbard on the trumpet, and it's having the really famous song Cantaloupe Island that was used really prominently in some TV commercial in the 90s. I remember when I was young, I always knew that song. Yeah, it's and One Finger Snap, you know, the whole thing through. It's a standard record, one of those extreme Blue Note standard records, and the next one the same, you know. Next one, Maiden Voyage. What I like about this, and there we come back to Miles, it's basically the Miles band from the second quintet without Wayne Shorter, but George Coleman on the tenor saxophone, and George Coleman also played as a substitute for, or as tenor with Miles before Wayne was the fixed member of the band. And I like George Coleman's sound, and I just like it a lot. I like his playing. And yeah, Blue Note 84195 from 1965, and it's also a landmark album. Like Maiden Voyage has on it Maiden Voyage itself, and the closing thing, Dolphin Dance, one of those beautiful songs that I won't miss. I would take those two songs if I could with me on the desert island. So Freddie Hubbard, you know, he was there, he stayed. George Coleman was added to the band of 1964, and yeah, then it progressed. Then there was coming, like, I see it kind of as a bunch. It's at first there was Speak Like a Child, a new band. Ron Carter was staying, but the others were all substituted. I needed a long time back then to accepting Mickey Rocker's drumming style. It was not really, was not so satisfied with it in some way. I did think it didn't hold the time like I wanted it to be, and whatever, like, yeah. It's a big band with bass trombone, with the alt flute, with a flugelhorn. That's also, it's not a trumpet anymore. It was Ted Jones, you know, famous with A Child Is Born. Yeah, we are already in 1968. And then the second one of this bunch is now also important to note the context, like The Prisoner. It was an album dedicated to Martin Luther King, and it was the story. And I love this album, really big from the musical perspective also. So Blue Note 84321 is containing Joe Henderson, and Joe Henderson is a tenor saxophonist. Died later, you know, 1 year later I discovered this tenor saxophonist, and it has a really high state in my personal appreciation of saxophonists. So he's one of my all-time favorites, you know. Page One, Inner Urge, with McCartana, you know, the In and Out, yeah, it's simply Joe Henderson, Recorder Me, one of my faves, you know, from his first album. Oh my God, Joe Henderson. So again, we have trombone, flugelhorn, we have Buster Williams on the bass, we have Albert Heath on the drums, and yes, what also is interesting to note that it was produced by Duke Pearson. which is on its own. So if it's the same, I just read now the things that I wrote down back then. So I'm pretty sure that's the pianist Duke Pearson, because Duke Pearson, you know, I also like him. Janine, the song, of course, was my introduction to him. So Prisoner is dedicated to the theme that we have now, really in a big way, also in our presence, world presence, and it's for getting people aware about what happened and why it happened, that there is a thing like white supremacy that has to be put into past areas and worked on, that the black society is getting a total equality and no in any way any harassment anymore around the world, and also other people, like, of course, but now it's primarily about the black people, the black society. The message that I just say now. So the Prisoner, and after this Prisoner there was kind of a record that was really hard to find, and a teacher that I had back then just helped me out by giving it to me. And in this year I had a really a phase also where I was into Israeli things, and I also tried to learn the alphabet, and I did learn in self-study like Hebrew. Yeah, and it was an interesting time, really. So it's called Hear, O Israel, and it's with Tad Jones, Ron Carter, Herbie Hancock, and a few others that I don't know right now, because I didn't write it down. All of them, it was a prayer ceremony in jazz, they was calling it, so there were a bit too much. Yeah, I have my opinions about the religious messages or whatever, you know, but it's about the music, because music is the religion for me in some way sometimes. So I didn't translate what they were singing or whatever, but it's a nice thing to listen to, and a really good sound also. What I was really amazed how clear all the saxophones and all everything is noticeable. Saxophones, I say, like the instruments. Yeah, the singing could be a little bit annoying, but that's maybe the Jewish ceremony singing, and it has nothing to do with the content, but it's just really high pitch, high treble female voices, and if you want to have it all the time, I don't know if it's a matter of taste. So, but I listened to it and I liked it, so I was really in that phase also. So, I did Just As I Am. I listened again after this. I listened, or parallel, I listened again to Bill Withers. So then he went to Warner Brothers. What did I do? Warner Brothers, Herbie Hancock, Fat Albert Rotunda. It was kind of a TV thing, TV movie, whatever, sitcom, I don't know. Just did have read it in the booklet back then, something about that. So what I want to say, he went to Warner Brothers. So I have to reverse now something from before. He ended up at Columbia, not at Warner Brothers. So the real electric thing that started from the early 70s was at Columbia, and I think he's still there. I don't know. So there is a song in there that's called "Tell Me a Bedtime Story," and I like that, especially that song on that. It's a funky album. There's a little funk on there. Electrified band, and yeah, Joe Henderson's still there. Albert Wht, Eric Gales, Buster Williams, Joe Farrell, Johnny Coles, Joe Newman, Wiggle Waggle is also interesting. Fat Mama, Little Brother, Fat Albert, Rotunda. I think this is kind of connected to the story maybe of the song, of the TV show. And I did hear in Tell Me a Bedtime Story, the middle part in it is kind of, I did like the drumming of Albert Wht there. I wrote that down, and yeah, I was also kind of listening to Regina Spektor, Soviet Kitsch, a little there in this week, and Still Bill. Some parallel things were going on. Yeah, and next week there was really also we have already 1971, and there he had his most experimental or electrified, whatever, almost psychedelic thing going on, with just 3 songs, the whole record, and really long songs. Also Mandishi is the name. So after it is Crossings also, that he did 3 albums for Warner. First one was Fat Albert Rotunda, the last one was Crossings, and the middle one was Mandishi, and it was sextet record, electrified sextet. I needed a long time to get into it, but I really did challenge this. So I had written down here, for example, like, When You Get There was one of my faves on there, and yeah, I did a really detailed examination of the songs on there, because it was something I never heard before. Pitch is true, pitch is proof, whatever kind of mixed into, like, this is all already this time. Yeah, I did hear a lot of things, I did hear Speak Like a Child in the song You'll Know When You Get There. Like, I did hear all these things that he already did kind of before in the records for Blue Note. So, and he just took it and developed it, and I also discovered things from the third album, Inventions and Dimensions, which was really amazing, like to hear how he took his things from earlier that he did and developed it and mixed it in and put it in there, and yeah. And the Crossings was the last one for the Warner era, and this one is the big one. Like, this is the with this long songs on there. It's the first one is Sleeping Giant. It's like 24 minutes or whatever. Like the next one, Water Torture. No, Wasar is in the middle, a little bit shorter, but also a really long electric whatever thing. And I recommend everybody to take time to listen to those 3 records, or maybe only Mandishi and Crossings, because the first one is kind of almost poppy in some way, almost a little funky in some way. It's out of the norm of those 3, but Mandishi and Crossings, they are things you should at least take 1 or 2 weeks to understand and process it, what's going on in there. And I took the time back then and listened more and more. Like, let's see what I did. Back then I had this time where I just sat in the morning with the coffee. Cheers. And I just wrote it down. Listen, sit down at the Starbucks and had my morning double espresso and listened a few 2-3 hours to that thing. And then, yeah, like it was really detailed. Like you can look at it. You can see that. I really have much to say about this, but I think I really extended this thematic already. That's now a jazz video for the jazz guys. Yeah, I don't like Hey There Delilah, I like more other stuff. So here is all what I wanted to show. This one, this is also from this band. It's the cool thing about the Miles thing and also the Miles second quintet, all of them, this is kind of a big family, and they all played with each other on their own records, solo dates then with Miles, then with. Also, it extends really a lot. It's all one big family, and that's what I also like a lot about jazz. It's one big family, and here we have a really beautiful album, Free Forms, and it's really a beautiful cover too. And it's the thing about it is that it's free. What I'm talking here, and what came later, it's going into the free jazz area section of labeling the music, and this here is totally whatever. Like, it's not even free jazz; it's completely something on its own, like the Mandishi and the Crossing. And here I wanted to show this. I already showed you because I like the cover in an earlier Recortalk, like this too, I guess, and I like the Anthony Williams stuff, and I'm loving tea also, and coffee of course. So yeah, Coffee Toast. I like that song. It's kind of the song of the day or of the week even. So makes me high, and this is one of those singles that I really like. And yeah, what we have more? I think I gotta have to escape soon because they closed down and will kick me out. So I like this bungee jumping Robbie Williams thing. I'm pretty sure it feels pretty amazing to do that. I never did it, and I'm not sure if I ever do it. But what I really love are those stickers on the old like here he played in 2003, like this I have. It's not original bought by me. I just bought it second hand for €2 or somewhere. Like grabbed it. Oh yeah, I wanted this. Always like this is a good way to find good music, and I always like to have the CD and the booklet because the information is really important. So what I wanted to show, like also to close that thing a little, from last time I talked about Peter O'Mara, and I brought along this book. So this is the book that taught me a lot. There are 2 CDs in there. Yeah. Oops. We have 2 CDs with beautiful things, and there are standards. And I just show you now the concept he did. He did songs and that resemble kind of the most important standards for jazz. So what we have, Red Herring Street. Yeah, what would this be? Of course, on Green Dolphin Street. He made his advanced music version of Green Dolphin Street. Like it's no, where I have it here. Advanced Music is the label of the song. Songs more or less, because it's not officially released in any form on a CD. It's just accompanying thing to the book. Yeah, he did a Kenny Wheeler thing here. Motivation is for like with the motive playing, like for. It's also a thing that relates to Herbie in some way. But he was referring to So What, I guess, from Miles Davis, like the modal approach, modal music of Miles Davis. Another melody. There will never be another you, of course. And I did compare it, you know, have this sheet here. It's really fun to look at it, like rhythm, he's calling that rhythm. It's a song where he points out rhythm changes, like really important form for music in jazz in general music, and for something you have to know as a jazz musician, like certain way of a chord progression. Handprint, Wayne Shorter, where we just were. Handprints, footprints, you know, it's a song, Wayne Shorter, and yeah. Quadro Mambo, this all, sorry, fuck. This is all kind of a thing that always puts me to Pat Metheny style music. So great book, great book. So really big recommendation. And since we are still in the rainbows, I also want to one more time to notice and remind you to this great album In Rainbows by Radiohead. One of my favorite Radiohead album. I know, I'm sure about that. So she just said I have to end my thing here, and this is also a recommendation. The Beatles, or no, the Little Black Songbooks. You have in there just the chords and all the music. Now it's the end. It's really good. So I'm gonna end off by. I have more, like I'm gonna do another record talk this week. So let's see. You know, we just have to stand together as a whole, make it possible to be as one. And this is another rainbow thing for the Pride. Let's end with Pride. So goodbye America. This is kind of stripes I like, and those of course. And this is Ring My Bell. Great song, great thing by Anita Ward. Put it like this. And I bought it also secondhand, and I loved this. I don't even know if it's original with it, but I loved the rainbow cover of this thing. So I'm gonna wish you a prideful and wonderful time until the next record talk, and I will conclude this for sure, because today it's a little much for the short time I have, as always. Believe in yourself, believe in the good things, and refuse anything that's going into a direction that we already had. So, goodbye.